Welcome to Yahweh Chapel of Truth. This is Bishop Jolly. We having a family and friend event, and we also having events that Yahweh Chapel of Truth is covering for the youth, and we also having a reunion, of family and friends, all of us together. And I just want to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the park. We'll be at the park from 10 to 8 o'clock. And it's nice to know that so many people care about our youth. And I know that we have let our youth down with this pandemic. And we're trying to pick up the pieces to try to put them back together. I didn't understand why would you take something loose, dismantle a program, and when you come into presidency, you dismantle a program, and then when we get COVID-19, you don't have a name for it. So that's why I'm reaching out. We need to save ourselves. Get educated on herbs and vitamins, and try to take better care of ourselves. Try to build up your immune system. That's the key to it all. Building up your immune system. But I would like to take out the time just to let the youth know, if you're out there and you're listening to me. I'm bringing a few of my pieces of artwork that I'm going to auction off at the auction when we do the auction for the art. Now, for the art contest, please bring your artwork. There will be prize money, a gift card for whoever wins the art contest. And then we're going to have a race contest with the children. Whoever come in first place, they're going to win. And we also going to do encouragement workshops. We're going to have a program. We're going to put things together. And we're going to have a wonderful time. It's nice to know that God has so many good people out there. It's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you, to know that you genuinely care about our youth, especially the at-risk youth that's living in drug-infested areas. These children really need us. The whole community needs us, because the whole community is taking and it's not putting nothing back. It's like a poison. And only way you can get rid of poison, you have to uproot it. Now, these faith-based programs and these drug-free programs that I will be doing with the youth, and we're also going to be doing films, little short films with the children. We're going to be doing that too. So there's a lot of things that we're going to be doing with this after-school program. And the after-school program executive director is Prophetess Jamila Williams. And she has done an excellent job. Excellent, excellent. So let's get into the subject now, okay? I got the subject as my stuff, okay? It starts off like this. Prayer to take me to get my stuff back. See, that's why you're gonna move with God. You can't predict what God is going to do. That's one thing that you cannot do. And God take the most unlikely folks to turn a situation around. So just like David is going to lead them to the problems, so he takes his stuff back. What I'm trying to tell you is, God, where's your stuff? He knows. Where's the enemy? It's taking it. Okay, the enemy has taken your stuff. He knows what the enemy is trying to do. David then moved by faith and said, David, when we had brought him down, behold, it says in the verse, they were spread it all over the land, eating and drinking and dancing. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Moses, okay? When Moses had did the tablet the first time, okay? And God had took his finger and he had wrote down the 10 Commandments that was called the hand of God, and he had wrote it down, okay? But what happened when Moses came down from the mountain after he had talked with Yahweh? He came down and he saw everybody dancing and just doing everything up under the sun. He got so angry that he took those plates and threw them down and broke them. But then God gave him another 10 command. I mean, another table, and this is the table that was kept. And God used his finger to write down each commandment. So I was sitting back here thinking. That David was smarter than, cause some things you won't get back without a fight. So David slaughtered them from the from the from the evening the next day, and not a man of them escaped, except 400 men who rode on camels and fled. This is David recovering all that was taken. He rescued his 2 wives, and nothing of them was missing, whether small or great. Um, David David was a smart man, and he was a smart ruler, King David. And I was thinking about the boys that was in the fiery furnace, and how the king had went down there to look in there to see was they burned up yet. And he sent another person in the presence. That was Christ. He was in the present, and when those boys came out, they was not burned. Just like Daniel, he was in the lion's den. Not one lion hurt Daniel. Not one. So we look back and we see how God has intervened in a lot of people's lives. He has intervened. God has a solution to what we're going through. And right now, the people not going to believe me when I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. We are in a depression. When COVID came here, it put us in a depression. And right now, you got more people seeing psychologists right now online. And they're helping more people because they're working from remote. And they are using the Zoom rooms, to meet with people. And people, God will send a leader among you. He's going to have his work done. His will is going to be done. So the people in power, don't worry about me. You need to worry about the power that's inside of me that's working. And God has given me a mission. This mission started with COVID-19. When it first came out, that was in 2019. People were running in and out the hospital with lung problems. Oh, it was terrible. And I was one of those people. And then the next year, we had such a goofy president that wanted to clown around. He wanted everybody to get it. But the thing is about it, you got to understand, some people never get COVID. God has designed our bodies in such a way that the body can protect itself. Do you know if you have so much negative stuff going on in your life, like child abuse and stuff like that, do you know your body will just shut down from so much negative stuff that's happening to you? Your body will protect itself. And that's why it's so important to trust God. I mean, trust Him all the way. There's nothing wrong with praying. You don't have to pray out loud. You can go in your room and pray. You can sit down and pray. You can pray anytime that you want to pray. Start talking to God. Start asking Him questions. We have a merciful God. He don't let your past destroy you. When you give your life over to God and you actually surrender your life over to God, there's nothing that you should be afraid of. You should know that God has your back. I'd rather have God have my back than some of these people out here in the street. But when you sit back and look at everything, it's like you seeing The Walking Dead. When the movie came out, Walking Dead, I never liked it. I never liked that movie when it came out. But the movie makes sense. Think about it, and think about COVID. Think about The Walking Dead, and then think about COVID. They should have told us. I've been saying this for the longest. I started the Ohio Pandemic Coalition up under Yahweh Chapel of Truth. And what we want to do, we want to make them accountable to what happened to all these people that lost everybody. We wanted to make them accountable and compensate the people, the long haulers. Those are the ones that's still going through this, is the long haulers. And we wanted them to make it a law that people that have long-term effects with COVID-19, that they be compensated. And we also wanted the people that lost people in a nursing home, we wanted those families to be compensated. Because they never got a chance to go back and say goodbye. And we overlooked the children and the youth. They had to be locked up in the house. They couldn't go outside. It was terrible. And now, here we are in 2023, and people trying to forget about COVID. They don't want to talk about it half the time. But you can't be afraid of COVID, and you can't be afraid to talk about it. Because you got to remember, the long haulers, we survived. We're the ones that's out there that during the pandemic, we was doing YouTube movies and we was doing comedy shows and doing it on YouTube just to bring some happiness to somebody front room. So we did a lot of things during COVID, but we survived it. So what I would like to do, and this is me myself with Yahweh Chapel of Truth, what we're going to do. Let me break it down to you. what we want to do, we want to get a piece of land and we want to build our church on it. And we want the community to be involved in this. You know, I have seen men of the church, Grace Temple, they built that whole entire church. The men did. And I watched it brick by brick when they made Grace Temple off of 40th between Cedar and Central. Right behind Central School, because I used to live in front of Central School when I was younger. But what I'm looking at right now is that we got brick masons, we got so many people out there that got skilled talents. They're sitting on them, ain't even using them. We want to, I'm going to draw up the blueprints for a dome-like church. You know, I haven't figured out the square miles or anything like that. I haven't figured it out yet. But I know that I'm a draft woman and that I can do my blueprint, because I do know how to do a blueprint. You know, I've been out here in the community doing events with children all my life. The community was the one that always funded the programs that I did with children. I did programs on Huff, I did programs in Cleveland, I did programs in East Cleveland. I did programs a whole lot. Now I'm older. I still feel I got some mileage left in me. And I want to save a generation of the at-risk youth that they don't wrote off. I want to show that we have doctors and lawyers and all people among us in our youth. We just need to educate them. They are going to be the ones running this country. We need to develop them into being good leaders by showing by example. So just remember, the Jolly family, they started way over there in New England. My grandfather's hair was so curly that his father put him out when he was 12 years old because he wasn't white enough. That's what my dad told me. And he worked on the ship, and he wound up being owning the ship, Captain Jolly. And then when he made it over here, you know, he got to the United States, he married a Native American woman and had a lot of children. And his family, the Jollies, they ran the police station. And what happened, I'm giving you a story that actually happened. Everybody was in the house sitting down eating, and they heard these horses coming in these white hoods. And they ran up on the ranch where my grandfather was at. They called him out. He came out. And they went and grabbed his wife. They tied her up and turned her upside down. They tied him to a tree and whipped him. So can you imagine my father, Uncle Dave, and all of them seeing their father get whipped by these people that got hoods on their head? KKK. And I was trying to figure out what turned my father. I wanted to know. So I've been studying my own history. And when he saw that, I think that changed his life, because when they turned his mother upside down and cut the baby out of her stomach, I don't think nobody was the same after that. They said that my father went on a killing spree. You know, he wanted to kill all the people that done that to his family. So he was always on the run all the time, running from the police. But I'm saying that We all suffer from something. We all suffer from something. You know, our ancestors suffered from postpartum stress disorder. We went through so much. Our ancestors went through so much just for us to be in the position that we're in now. You got to realize that somebody kept going. When they told them that they couldn't do it, they kept going anyway. We have so many inventions out there. They need to do a new history book. And that's what Yahweh Chapel of Truth is about. We're about the truth. And we're going to be searching all over the world, looking for different books and studying different books. Because we want to know the origin of how all these religions came around. Now, I can tell you from my point of view how some of it happened. What happened, it was over there in Egypt, okay? They had writings all over the pyramid, different little things, different little symbols and everything. And they said people from around the world came because they wanted to do each religion wanted to do their own Bible, okay? And they took the scrolls and the writing off the wall, and they studied it until they understood what it meant. So what happened when everybody went over there, everybody went back with a piece of knowledge, and they created their own Bible. And then I believe the Bible was some things in the Bible that we really need to study and try to understand. You know, it's not a complicated book. You know, people think Revelation is complicated. Revelation is mostly about symbols. You know, we need to understand how do this Bible tie into our lives. Everything that happened in the Bible, people overcame it. They had plagues back then. They overcame it. So when I talk about my grandfather, that's how the Jolly family started. And they grew. And they grew. And they kept growing. There's a lot of Jollies out there. Original Jollies. They out there. A lot of Jollies don't have Jolly for their last name. But they're Jolly. Okay? And I like our last name. You know, Jolly, that means a happy person. You know, you have to be happy when your last name is Jolly. And King Henry, I always wondered how did they get the Jolly name in there? Because King Henry VII, we come from his origin. From King Henry VII. There's a lot of my grandfather name is Henry. Henry Jolly. And he had a lot of children. Just like any other man out there, you know, having double families, okay? But what I'm concerned is about that we don't want to lose a generation of children. You know, right now, it's a lot of stuff that's going on. Parents have to actually watch their children. And then you got some parents that just leave the child outside. They don't even go and check on the child. We got to be more protective about our children. People are riding around in vans just snatching our children. Putting them into trafficking and all kind of stuff. And then by the time we get the child back, the child is broken. We want to give these kids tools to work with. Tools to work with, coping skills. They need that. Because they living in this world. You know, in my day, I remember the Depression. And when the COVID came, that was a depression. And we still in depression. Don't nothing taste right. The food don't taste the same. I always wondered to myself, are they growing this stuff in the lab? Because it doesn't has a taste to it. So I think that we need to help our young people to be leaders, and each one help the other one. And like I was telling you, the kind of church that I want to build, it's going to cost $5 million. I tell you that. But that's for 5 years salary for my staff. 5 years salary for my staff. Because we're going out in the community and we're doing it now before we even get to church. And we are helping young people find themselves. We do little short videos for young people. We do art shows, art contests. And we also have another project. It's called Art for All Project. I did this project at Sunbeam. And the kids that was disabled and this in wheelchairs, they drew a design on the canvas with their wheelchairs. What we did, we took duct tape and we taped up the wheels on their wheelchair, and then we took the wheelchair and went up and down the canvas with it. And then we had some people use their hand and make little designs on it. But the project was called Arts for All, and that means that everybody can do artwork. Just last year, I was working with the senior citizen over at Lee and Harvard, and I did an Art for All project there. And some of the pictures came out beautiful. Because of I wasn't able to continue to fund my own program, and I was sick, and that's the only reason that I stopped doing the program, the Arts for All program at Lee and Harvard. I was there for at least, I think, about 2 or 3 months. So it's just that when I was coming up, they had programs for us to go to. They had Friendly Inn. Now, some of the people know me. I used to play basketball all the time. They had Friendly Inn, they had PRC, they had the Eagle Nest. We had somewhere to go. Where do these children have to go? When we was in school, we had canteen. We could go down there and dance and talk with our friends, but then when it was time to go to class, we was in class. But they gave us incentive. They would play music in the hall. And then when we went down to the room where we danced at, it was a big enough room for everybody could dance. And we just enjoyed ourselves. And we liked going to school. These kids today, they don't like going to school. Who's failing the children in these schools? We send our kids there, but these kids are being bullied. We need to do something about that. Not every child is a fighter. But these kids need to have some type of coping skill so they learn how to deal with bullies. So this is part of the program, Yahweh Chapel of Truth. Yahweh Chapel of Truth is umbrellaing programs, especially after school programs, and we also doing a building fund. We're doing everything possible to work with these children and have the children buy into the church. That means if they help, then that's part of them. That church belongs to them. They can say, this is my church, because they were there to put their volunteer time in. So the church belongs to them. And we want to make it a very peaceful, flowery place with a water fountain in the middle. We want it to be calm. We want a global library. We want drug-free material. We want a stage. We want a meeting room. We want to have a benefit room. We want a kitchen. We want to be able to house runaways. There are so many things that we want to do. And we're just going to keep plowing forward, because God gave me a mission. And I'm still on the mission. I never gave up. I kept going. So make a difference in a child's life. Believe me, that child will remember you. Just like my cousin Donald. I was pregnant with my daughter Leonetta. And do you know he came and got me pregnant? His wife was pregnant and moved me in with them because I was sleeping in the hallway. So I understand when you're in a bad situation, you're trying to get out of there. But if you're trying to get out of there, where are you going? How many places out there that's housing our youth besides the prisons? We got to save the youth, and we got to build leaders. And not just one leader, everybody should be a leader. So, this is what I want to talk about. I'm looking forward to the event Monday. I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun. And I'd like to thank you for taking our time to listen to me. And I would just like to say a prayer. Thank you, Yahweh, for getting me up this morning. And thank you, Yahweh, for putting your word in my mouth and shutting it up. Then opening my mouth so I could get a word to the people. We gotta stop. We gotta stop celebrating these days that's pagan. And then you need to know what pagan means. We're gonna look all that stuff up. We're doing research. I want the children to be a part of this research. I want them to understand. You know, even in the church, we wanted to have a forensic lab for the youth. Because I thought if we had a forensic lab and we have a teacher, he could teach the children CSI. And then he can teach the children, maybe we can take on some of the cold cases that they don't want to mess with and let the children solve it. That's all I'm saying. Give them a chance to do something. You'll be amazed at how smart these children are. So that's the other thing we want to do. We want to be able to house other programs, like drug-free programs. We want to be able to house more programs like drug-free programs. We want to house community program, community, different agencies. We wanted to house this in this big old dome. And we wanted to have a big sanctuary. And we wanted to invite young people. We want to start off training these children very young. And we want them to have their own ministry. We want them to have their own committees. And we want them to plan events for themselves for the whole year. And we want to do fundraisers. We want to teach them how to do fundraisers so they can learn how to fund their own project. So that's what Yahweh of Truth is all about. It's all about saving the youth. Because someone saved Bishop Jolly. And that was my cousin, Donald Jolly. He saved me. Thank you for taking out the time. I know I'm supposed to have been praying, but Lord, just forgive me, Lord. Just thank you. Thank you. Thank you for getting me up this morning. Thank you for touching the people's hearts that did donate to the program for the youth. I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Yahweh, for touching their heart. Thank you, Yahweh. We're going to be glorifying your name, Yahweh. We're going to glorify your name. And we want the children to know the truth. That's all we want them to know is the truth. They can make their own decision once they know the truth. So we just ask you, Yahweh, to work with us, to work with the children, and help us to save a generation. In your Son, Yeshua's name. Amen. Thank you.